This is Leafs Morning Take with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill.
Now we've got a fight started here right off the bat with Rosehill.
30 minutes of live, nonstop Leafs talk starts now.
What's going on? Happy Tuesday. It's a Leafs game day and welcome to another edition of Leafs Morning Take. As you can see, Nick Alberga flying solo today. Don't worry. You'll get your Rosie fix in mere moments. That's right. 3 Hits with Rosie will come back in about 5 or 6 minutes from now. Remember to subscribe, smash that like button, leave us a review. Don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com for the very latest on all things Toronto Maple Leafs. We're live on Twitter, YouTube, and today for the first time, Facebook. Mic drop. Hello to everybody watching on Facebook right now. Thoughts, comments, concerns, or questions, hit me up in the YouTube chat down below. I'll get to them later on in the show. But folks, huge, big, massive show, whatever adjective you want to use. And I know every show is big, but extra big today. I am missing my dude, Jay Rosehill. Can't wait to have him back coming up on Thursday. But we got a Leafs Pens preview, of course, game 2 of 3 in this 15-day, 3-game set this season here in November. So 3 Hits with Rosie's coming up again in about 4 or 5 minutes from now. And the feature presentation. I don't know how I landed this, but I did. In about 10 minutes or so, the top free agent head coach out there, 2018 Stanley Cup champion himself, Barry Trotz, will join me. We'll see what he's been up to. Things are starting to percolate around the NHL. We all know the old adage about American Thanksgiving, so stay tuned for that. That's about 8 minutes or so away. Barry Trotz is going to drop by here on Leafs Morning Take. But first, some housekeeping notes pertaining to the Maple Leafs. I'm not sure if you guys caught this yesterday. But tough news on Jake Muzzin, out indefinitely due to a cervical spine injury. Just hearing that sounds awful. And don't take this the wrong way, but I hope he never plays again. For me, and first and foremost, health is of vast importance. I would never want somebody to put their life on the line, their future on the line for a sport. I understand he's an athlete making lots of money, but if he can't go, he can't go. And this guy's given so much to the sport, by the way, whether it was Los Angeles, whether it's Shirley here as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but just the back issues, the spine issues he's been having. It's really, really scary stuff. So I wish Jake Muzzin the best. They're saying he's going to be reevaluated in February. It just doesn't look like positive news. But again, most important out of all things are his future, his family, and his health. And I think until one of those things gets right, certainly in the health aspect, I do not want to see him in the NHL. I do not want to see him play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I guess we'll find out more in the next couple months. But it's unfortunate. It does not sound good on the Jake Muzzin front. Meantime, TJ Brodie will be out a minimum of 2 weeks with an oblique injury. If you do remember, John Tavares, the captain, had the same type of injury back in training camp, and he missed about roughly 2 weeks. He returned in time for the season opener. So that's the way they phrased it, that it was actually something similar to John Tavares. So we'll see on that front. But for me, it just means bigger things and bigger footsteps for guys like Jordy Ben, who had a really good debut on Saturday, scores the game-winning goal for the Leafs in a revenge game against Vancouver. Mark Giordano, Rasmus Sandin. I think across the board, I think we're really going to realize the vast importance of TJ Brodie to this team. And the amazing thing about TJ Brodie, he doesn't miss games. And I think you body of work the last couple of years, specifically here in Toronto, he doesn't miss games. So now you take him out of the lineup, it's just going to be a bit of a different look for this team. So certainly, the guys I mentioned, even, a Justin Hall stepping up, a Liljegren stepping up, they're going to start relying heavily on those guys. And I do think this team will really, really direly miss TJ Brodie. So we're wishing a speedy recovery in that matter too, and a return to full health and back in this Maple Leafs lineup. Because again, this is going to be felt big time. But for now, we're going to get over the boards. Undoubtedly, we don't want to overshadow the big story on the night. Matt Murray, yeah. Remember him, played in the season opener, his Toronto Maple Leafs regular season debut, made 19 stops, and they lost to the Montreal Canadiens. And quite frankly, that is the last we've pretty much seen of Matt Murray. He got injured in the morning skate prior to that game on the Saturday, game 3 of the season against the Ottawa Senators, and he's missed the last 14 games due to a groin injury. So he returns tonight. We all know the story, the history with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He won 2 Stanley Cups with them. It's a former team. You would think he's going to be getting up to play this game. We mentioned, the game back on Friday, Pittsburgh winning that 4-2, the final of Evgeny Malkin, I thought was outstanding. But this is the second time in 5 days, the second of 3 meetings in 15 days. The Leafs will be in Pittsburgh on November 26th as well. And I just think for me, that's the biggest thing I'm looking at in this game is Matt Murray, because we know without goaltending, this team is going nowhere, and they can't just rely on Ilya Samsonov or like an Eric Kallgren the way they have been the last little while. Like, they need both guys. And, I think Roberto Luongo, quite frankly, put it best in his speech yesterday for the Hockey Hall of Fame, that you need more than one guy now. Like, it's a lot different than when he started his career, where you need two solid, competent guys in between the pipes where you're going nowhere. So certainly the road forward starts tonight for the Leafs again with Matt Murray. But I'll be honest, I temper my expectations with Matt Murray, because quite frankly, he does get injured quite a bit. So fingers crossed he can make it to the game tonight. And it's always tough to say that, but again, they're playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. He should be fired up to be playing them. He's missed 14 games, so this will be the second appearance for Matt Murray as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs, confirmed starter. I think we're still awaiting word on the starter as we speak right now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But if you ask me, it's a 4-game week for them. I would expect Casey DeSmith. Most importantly, he gets the victory against Toronto on Friday. So why would you go against that? He's been the better of him and Tristan Jarry the last little while. It's been a tough stretch for Pittsburgh, but they seem to be coming out of things, by the way. They had dropped 7 in a row. They're now currently on a 3-game point streak. They played a back-to-back on Saturday as well. Lost in Montreal, crazy hectic game against the Montreal Canadiens, a 5-4 loss. Sean Monahan, I believe, scoring the winner in that game. So stay tuned for that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think anytime these two teams get together, but to me, that without question, that is the big story on the night, is Matt Murray. But without further ado, let's get to 3 hits with Rosie.
Hey guys, 3 hits today, our big Tuesday. We're teeing up the game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, luckily, we just played the Penguins on Friday. Didn't go the way we wanted, so we got a chance at redemption right now. My number one thing that I want to see out of the Maple Leafs tonight is to play pissed off. You just dropped a home game to this team a matter of days ago. It's not very often in this league you can get redemption that quick. We're a matter of days from that loss at home, and you get another shot at them right here tonight in Pittsburgh. I want them to remember that loss, remember what happened. I want a little crashing, a little banging. I want them to take it to this team in their home barn and do exactly to them what they just did to the Maple Leafs on Friday. Number 2, how are we going to do that? You got to shut down Malkin. You got to shut down Sid, Gensel. These guys, you can't let them have these multi-point games against you. They're too good. They'll do it in 2 opportune times, and they'll make you pay, and it could be the difference in the game. Especially on defense, you got to know when those guys are out there. You can't give them breathing room. You can't give them time and space, and you can't let them wander away where you're not sure where they are, because as soon as they do, puck's on their stick, it's in the back of the net. It happened on Friday. It'll happen again on Tuesday if they're not careful, if they're not paying attention to that. Number 3 hit, team defense is going to be huge right now. We just lost Muzzin. Found out that he's going to be gone for a long time. There's going to be no help from him anytime soon. TJ Brody also unexpectedly went down as well. So we got 2 guys that are not going to be in the lineup. Muzzin's been out for a while, I realize. Now we lost Brody. It's not ideal. We're going to be bringing up some Marleys. One of them's going to be in the lineup, no doubt. But, luckily we got Jordy Ben back in. But team defense is going to be huge. You got to keep these guys to the walls, keep everything to the outside, protect the middle, protect your goalie. We're not sure who's playing as of right now, but could be Murray. He's hasn't been playing lately. He's nursing an injury. If he's coming back, it could be a little bit rushed. Who knows? Bottom line is whoever's in net is going to need a hand. They're going to need some team defense. We can't be running and gunning. We can't have bad pinches. We can't have fancy turnovers. And we got to back check, get that third guy high, and start to take care of the defensive zone. That's going to win you games, especially against the Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh. You're not going to shoot out the lights and do a bunch of run and gun fancy stuff to win the game. It's going to be that simple stuff, keeping them on the walls, paying attention to where everybody is, and learning from the mistakes on Friday. Obviously, we didn't get it done there on Friday, and like I said, big chance at redemption today. I hope they come out banging. I hope they come out with energy. I hope they come out pissed off and get themselves a big win, which would get them right back on track here on Tuesday. Let's see it happen.
Get much better than today's guest. In addition to racking up over 900 wins, he's won 2 Jack Adams trophies as well as a Stanley Cup in 2018 with the Washington Capitals. Welcome to Leafs Morning Take, Barry Trotz. Trotzy, what's going on?
Just hanging out in beautiful Washington, D.C., visiting my granddaughter. It's her birthday today, so We're
Awesome.
going to
Happy.
keep this fairly short then.
Yes, we will. Happy birthday. So what have you been up to lately?
I've been since May, just trying to be a good dad, uh, a good father. With my children, they're all grown up now. They've got certain businesses, so we've taken care of that. And then I've been moving my parents and my wife's parents. They've gone into facilities, so we've had the perfect storm this summer, and we moved ourselves. So been doing a lot of moving.
Keeping busy. That's great to hear. Be honest, you getting that urge to get back into the mix here a bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I probably need a little bit of a break from all I haven't had a break since May, but yeah, I miss being in I miss game day. I miss the room. I miss that, the wins, the losses, the emotion that goes with it, just and the preparation that goes with it. You get an adrenaline crash, or you get an adrenaline kick every day. So yeah, I'm watching the games. It's the seasons. The team is all the teams in the league are pretty tight. You look at some teams have got off to great starts. Some teams have got off to poor starts. It's normal, but the games have been good. There's been an uptick in offense around the league. I don't, the goaltenders save percentage have gone down. I just watch the players. They're deception right now. There's no tells. They're selling shot and throwing it over to the backside. So, there's a little more offense happening now.
So what kind of fan is Barry Trotz? And we mentioned you're unemployed, I guess, for the time being, we can call it. But like when you watch a game, are you watching teams? Are you watching systems? Are you watching specific players? Like what goes in your mind?
A little bit of all. Really look at it from a coaching perspective, right? Probably first and foremost. What systems are they using? I've got a pretty good book on most of the teams the last couple of years, and coaches have certain systems and certain things that they do. So, if a coach moved around, example is Bruce Cassidy doing what he did in Boston. Is he doing it in Vegas? Is he tweaked something? So that's probably where my mind goes first, and then how the coaches are using their players, which players are getting a little bit of an uptick, from their coach and belief, and which are getting a little bit of a downtick in terms of ice time. So watch a little of that, and then I try to get to know the new players. I have a really good book on the Eastern Conference, obviously being there the last 9 years or so. So, the Western Conference got a little, you're not quite as familiar because you don't play them as much. So, plus some of those late games when they're on the East Coast, as you know, are a little harder to watch. So, getting a book on that. I spent a lot of time in obviously Manitoba, in my parents, in my wife's mother's area, where so I'm a little bit more in that central time zone, and then I moved back to Nashville for tax purposes, getting out of New York. So,
Smart.
yeah, you can save quite a bit. So I just did that. So I've been more in the central time zone, so I get a little bit of both, but I get a little more of the West now than I'm used to. So getting a good buck on them. So watching a lot of hockey, keeping on top of things, and working during the day for the most part.
Yeah, same. My eyes are starting to hurt. I watch so much hockey, but it's a lot of fun. I mentioned your resume. We'd be here all day, Trotzy, if I listed off all your accomplishments. So my next question is pretty simple. Like at this juncture in your career, you've done so much. What makes you tick? Like, what are you looking for in your next adventure?
Well, I think, I'd like to win another Stanley Cup. I've been a part of an expansion team, and that grew, and you see Nashville's a really strong franchise, and there was some tough sledding the early years, trust me. Expansion wasn't what it was. We had 8 or 9 different owners, those type of things. So, and then I went to Washington, who we were able to win a Stanley Cup, and then onto the island, where I think getting the pride back on the island was really important. Getting that building built, becoming relevant again. And I thought we were able to do that. We lost John Tavares to the Leafs. So it was a big challenge, but Lou was great to work with, and I think we stabilized that franchise to the point where it's got a beautiful building. We went to the conference finals twice, and if Tampa's not there, I think we might at least have one ring, if not two. But we couldn't get by them, and they're back and being relevant in a real important market, especially in New York. So all that, I'd like to. Obviously, when you win a Stanley Cup, you want to do it again. You really do. And I'm bitten with the bug, I guess. I love the game. The game has given me so much, and I've always been all in when I've gone to a team. So. A lot of this summer was about, can I be all in or not? And I wasn't able to, so I got to do things that I needed to do as a husband, a father, and a stepson. So I've been able to do all that, which has been really a blessing.
So you don't have to name teams, but have you been contacted recently about any coaching gigs around the league?
No, not really. I think right now I'm a pretty firm believer in with all the teams. There's the first 10 games of the year. You're trying to see if your team is out of summer mode, and and people don't understand. You got training camp and all that, but the games get spread out, and it's really about the compete. You can get back into that summer mode. If you're out of it, teams are going good, and then the next 15 to 20 games, you find out what your team is, how much compete, how detailed are they, do they have the belief, do they have their swagger, that type of thing. Everybody was down on Boston because of all the injuries, and they took it as a challenge. Jim Montgomery, there's some great leadership in that room. They just took it upon themselves to make sure that they were out of summer mode and they were getting it done together. And you saw the start that they had. Vegas had something to prove. All the teams, New Jersey had something to prove. They're going well. All the teams that had changes have something to prove. Winnipeg, they got off. They got the Islanders as well. They've all got a little chip on their shoulder from last year, and they've come out flying where other teams maybe didn't have that chip on their shoulder and trying to ease into it. And, they haven't got the start that they want. So this is the time of the year where you can get yourself right in the mix. And I mean, you win a game here, you go from 12th place in the conference to 8th place, and you're all fine. So you have a good week, as long as you don't have bad weeks. I always as a coach didn't go on a 10 game segment, talk about a whole lot about 10 game segments. I talked about the week. You usually have 3 games a week, sometimes 4, but you need at least 4 points. And I don't care how you get them, get 4 points every week, and you're going to be in the playoffs. And so you try to have a short-term focus, and teams or have that. You see teams that have got off to bad starts, they're starting to rebound, and you find out a lot about them.
We all know the volatility surrounding the job. We're approaching American Thanksgiving, as you just referenced. Would you strongly consider a job offer right now if it made sense for you and your family, Barry?
I would, if it made sense. I'd be quite honest with the team. Ideally, probably for me, I'm probably after January, but the right situation, yeah. I'm refreshed. I'm all that. There's still some things on my plate I have to get done. I have a special needs son who we need to get him situated a little bit better. It hasn't been a great 4 or 5 months here for him, and so we want to get him situated. But we're getting pretty close to that point where I feel comfortable if the right thing came around that would be something I would consider for sure. So. But the break's been good. I get to look at it from a different perspective. I was telling someone the other day, I went to David Poyle's 3,000th game. I was invited by him, and we had some of the original parts from 1997 come and return, and it was really surreal. Me being in a rink with the season going on, and I'm watching it from a suite type of thing. So that was a little bit awkward or surreal, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, I'm in a good place myself. Mentally and physically, I'm doing good and pretty relaxed right now.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the most important part. And I was going to say, like, you strike me as a very hungry and motivated person. I think the unique aspect of all of this is you've never taken a job in season, right? And with that, what do you think the pros and cons of something like that would be? Like, do you even think about what's happened in recent memory with guys like Craig Berube and Mike Sullivan and said, you know what, that Stanley Cup could be closer than I think?
Yeah, no, you think about those things a little bit. I think when a team, there's certain teams, all depends on the room and the situation. I can't talk for every city, but I do know from experience and watching and talking to other coaches that sometimes teams sit back and they feel like there's going to be a change happening. They're expecting a change, and when the change happens, it's a little bit of a kick in the pants, if you will. That you didn't get the job done. A coach is there to direct and motivate, and you hold people accountable, put the structure in, foundationally to put that in. But to me, it's getting the players to. You always hear coaches talk about buy-in, and the buy-in is, are you ready and willing to commit to win? And there's two types of players for me. There's businessmen and there's players. And the difference between a businessman and a player, and I'll take a NFL sort of situation. A receiver going through the middle, the ball's thrown a little bit high, and those hands don't always get up there. They get a little bit nervous, and those hands come down a little quick. Player gets those hands up, catches the ball, and makes the play. And that's the difference between businessmen and players, that commitment level. And you see around the league, there's high commitment level on teams that have got off to great starts. I ended up watching the Boston Bruins the other night, and their commitment level and their swagger and all that is extremely high, and it's carryover from their start. Their carryover was from the knowing that they were going to have a lot of people out, and obviously it changed with Bruce, who was there a long time, and they didn't know Jimmy, so they're all trying to impress Jimmy, and they got the message across, and they've got off to a great start. So it's huge when you get that the buy-in and the commitment, and you might need an event. I know the year we won the Cup, we had a couple losses. We won the President's Trophy. Couldn't get by Pittsburgh. They go on and win 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
I sort of let the team heal, for lack of a better way to explain it. I let them try to fight through it a little bit, the pain of losing it. Are we ever going to win and all that? And it was about game 20, and I remember where I felt it was time where enough is enough. No excuses, all that. And it was in Colorado, and I touched a few things that were right on the edge, and I said to my coaching staff, I know we're playing Minnesota when we're coming back. I says, I'm going to find out if they're going to buy in, or if they're going to jump off the wagon here, and when they jump off the wagon means that probably I'm gone, type of thing, and
yeah.
Because I sometimes the coach has to go to the edge. He has to say things that are harsh, and as long as the players know it's not vindictive, that it's the truth and it's honest, and you don't hold it against them. You're just trying to show them the way. Then they buy in, and we played Minnesota, and we had a terrific game. And I said, we're rolling. And sometimes you need to have that event or that that type of honest, break it down right to the core meeting where everybody gets touched up a little bit. Even the coach himself gets touched up, and he touches them. He understands he's part of that too. And usually if the buy-in's there, the answer's in the room. It always is. The easy way is to yell, "Fire the coach! Fire the coach!" Well, what do you think New Jersey fans would be saying now if they fired Lindy after second game or first game of the year, whatever that was? I mean, he's got them. That event probably helped their team. It really did. It bonded their team. I haven't talked to Lindy, but I'm sure it has. The players said that's on us. We got to get this done, and they're fun to watch. And they're winning.
A little kick in the ass never hurt nobody. And I love the thank you, Lindy chants the other day. Just a couple more and I'll let you go. The Leafs. This is a Leaf-centric show. What have you made of their start?
Yeah.
It was just a tough October. They've been much better lately.
Yeah, I just think that they have a team that they feel that they're going to be a playoff team. They know they're going to be a playoff team. I think that's what Sheldon and the management and the players feel. And sometimes you ease into it a little bit. Into the season, and it wasn't quite going their way, and they were having trouble finding the net and keeping pucks out, and that's what happens. But they came back to Toronto after I think their Western swing, and they fixed it. They fixed it in the room. Sheldon did a good job. I'm sure guys, the key people in the room, the Morgan Rileys and the Austin Matthews and the Marners, they know they got to carry a heavy load. And I think what I've seen in Toronto, I haven't seen them a lot lately, but I caught a game, and I think what happens sometimes with teams is that you're so reliant on your top guys that the secondary scoring and all that, they sometimes don't. They feel like, oh, those guys will take care of it. But I think what you're seeing is that everybody's finding ways to contribute. Either a block shot or something. There's more of a collective 20 guys pushing, not just 4 or 5 guys. It's hard to win in this league, and it's a hard burden for 4 or 5 guys to carry a whole group. So the strength is in the numbers, and I just think that they came back, they pulled themselves together, and it starts obviously with your best players, but the other guys started feeling that they were a part of it too. So. They're playing well, and they've got a good hockey team, and they've had some problems in goal with trying to stay healthy, which is can go one way or the other for your hockey team. It can galvanize your team play, or it can sometimes take the confidence out of your team. But they've pulled it together in terms of their team play, and they're playing well.
And again, you have to be level-headed, right, as we wrap here. Just sort of your general thoughts on like a checklist for your career, where your ambition is headed, and what would it mean to you, truthfully, like between us as a Canadian, to potentially coach a Canadian team one day?
Well, it wouldn't be the be all and end all. I created a storm when I said that, I think it was Cam Jansen's, original 6 team, and everybody said, "No, Toronto." No, I'm an older guy in terms of, I'm 60 right now, and I grew up with, the original 12, but the original 6 were, Montreal, the Leafs, Boston, all that, Detroit and the Rangers, and that's where I started. So that was the only, I've done the expansion team. I've done a couple of great franchises in Washington and the island, and I haven't done the original 6. And it was just a comment that I made, and it went quite viral, I think. It wasn't directed at one organization or the other. It's just, those are cool things when you go through your career. Disappointment for me is I always wanted to coach, be part of the Olympic movement, and not going to the Olympics, being part of that staff, and then that not being able to go. That was something that was on my bucket list for sure, which I probably I don't know if I'll ever get to do that again or not, but that was something that I wanted to accomplish, and I get great enjoyment with taking teams and trying to make them better. Players have good relationship with players over the years. That's where you, as a coach, you miss the room. You miss I'll say every about 48 hours you have you're either happy or you're sad, and it's emotionally it can be quite draining, and I guess you become a little bit of addicted to that, I guess. But the game's a great game. It is, and it's so fast. People have no idea how fast it's gotten, how skilled it's gotten. But when it comes down to winning championships, you need that good blend. You just do. You need the highly skilled guys that can change a game. You need those heart and soul guys. You need role guys. You look at Colorado last year, who's got all the superstar talent that more than probably anybody in the league, and at key times those role players were high contributors. The Coglianos and people like that who stepped up and did a real great job for them. So that's what you need to win. And 82 games is hard to get in the playoffs. People have no idea how hard it is to get in the playoffs, and how committed you have to be and focused you have to be to win a Stanley Cup. It's an incredible journey, and people always say you have to learn to win, and you're probably going to have some hard losses. And I'm a big believer that you just don't go from, becoming a good team, win a cup. You're going to get disappointed many times, and then when you least think about it, you think about our run in Washington. We had probably deeper teams the first 2 years I was there, and we won President's trophies, and we just couldn't get by the Penguins, and then we lost some pieces. In that third go at Pittsburgh, when we beat them out in that game, in that series, we didn't have Tom Wilson; he was suspended.
Yeah.
Nicholas Backstrom had a broken thumb. We were missing a lot of pieces, but we had learned how to win, and we started really hating to lose, to a point where we weren't going to lose anymore. And that got us over the hump. Our structure, our commitment was phenomenal. And when we got by Pittsburgh, I had no doubt we were going to win the cup. I actually knew we were going to win the cup when we were down 2 games to 0 against Columbus in the first series. And we went to Columbus and we won in double overtime. I walked in the room and said to the coaches, "I'm just telling you, we're going to win the Stanley Cup now." And they looked at me and, "Settle down, big boy. That's only one game." And I said, "No, that was something that we needed, and we got it." And I was right.
You were, and it was a magical run. I remember the save by Braden Holtby.
Yeah.
I think it was in Game 2 against Vegas, and it's funny you bring that up. I was talking to Devontae Smith-Pelly last night. He says hi, and just it was an unbelievable year. I was so happy for you. And again, we can talk for ages. I love chatting with you. You're such a class act. Really appreciate your time today, and I look forward to seeing you behind an NHL bench very soon here.
Absolutely. Well, you have a good Thanksgiving. I was here in Canada. It's big time in the States, and
it is.
If not, we'll have a great Christmas.
Sounds good, Barry. Take care. Okay.
All right. Take care.
There you have it. The legendary Barry Trotz, just salt of the earth. That's what I love about him the most. Like, he just humanizes every situation. He had some business to attend to, family to attend to, and he's taken his time. How many people in life would just take their time even to throw away, $4, $5, $6, $7 million or whatever it is per season? I mean, he demands a lucrative contract at this point in time, and rightfully so. And so, again, many thanks to Barry Trotz for taking some time today. Again, I could go on for hours and hours and hours talking hockey with him. It's always a lot of fun. For now, the wrap-up is brought to you by our friends at PointsBet Canada. 1 for 1 to start the week. I was on the Tyler Toffoli shot prop yesterday. Tonight, give me a William Nylander over 0.5 assists. So an anytime assist, looking at plus 120 value or around there. 6 assists in the past 7 outings. And then on top of that, prolific exposure and attachment, Austin Matthews. As we know, the line's jumbled up It sounds like Nylander once again is going to start tonight on the wing of Austin Matthews, who's a shooter, so it's logical thinking in my world. So that's what I'm looking at tonight from a PointsBet Canada point of view, is William Nylander over 0.5 assists in this game. Hammer it, please. And with that, I'm going to wrap today's edition. I know we got a bit past the clock here, but again, when you have Barry Trotz on, you take as much time as you need, and we did so today. So once again, I could not thank Barry Trotz enough for giving us about 20 minutes on the show today. Jay Rosehill, another edition of 3 Hits with Rosie, knocked it out of the park. And looking forward to Leafs Pens tonight. And make sure to join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. Take care.